We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the virtual coffee connection. And let's go ahead and dive right in here today. Stephen, what would you like to accomplish in today's coffee connection?
Today, I'm here just to make some great connections.
Copy that. And what's a great connection for you?
Somebody who networks and knows business owners or CEOs with 25 employees or more. Often they're franchise owners or tradesmen who have gone beyond one or two trucks. They're starting to scale and they've hit a plateau and they need some help with their cash flow. Because that's what I do is I introduce people to cash flow solutions.
Gotcha. So, have you found that those types of individuals go to networking events or attend podcasts in general?
They often are listeners to podcasts.
Gotcha.
Those size companies may not go to networking events, but the people at the networking events know them.
Right, because they're the customers. So so you got kind of a triangulation selling going on. And so that type of, like, we've had individuals like that sit in on the coffee connection and they like it, they gain a lot of benefit, but they're out building their business. And so they're out doing the work. And so they tend to have more of a mindset. They tend to have more of a mindset of physical work versus mental work a little bit more. Not good or bad, just is what it is. And so
Sure.
have you done any,
especially those in the trades? Yeah.
Yeah, especially those trades, right? Like when you and I are here, they're out, building something or putting something, right? And I get that. I do. Have you done any SICs or NISCs codes? Have you done any of that, purchased any list on those?
No, I have not.
Are you familiar with how that works or not so much?
At a high level, yes, but I have not dug into the details.
So what you can do is you can go ahead and, so in the 530 grid, which we've talked about in previous ones, you can identify targets. And so that's getting databases. You can buy them, acquire them, partner with other people. And so if you get an SIC code, a standard industrial code, or a NISC, I think is what it's called, the new ones. And that, so every business, for those that don't know, every business that is out there in the United States has an SIC code. And so it's a unique code. And so if like Stephen knows, so franchises, they have codes. There's a 3-digit, I believe it is, for the first three. And then, so you might have construction. The next 2 digits, I believe, are going to be what type of construction. There might be some more. So you can get granular into what type of targeting you want. You can then purchase those lists. And then you can nowadays, you can go ahead and email them. And so how do you go ahead and connect? How do you connect with people? I have found that it's Identify Targets. A great book to read is Made to Stick by Dan and Chip Heath. It's how to have a sticky message. And so you get, box one is you identify the targets. You can buy those. Box two is you send them a message, and you could draw them into calling you. You could draw them into this type of podcast. You could go ahead and offer them some type of a newsletter, or you could offer them some type of a white paper, something of added value to create an engagement. Do you have, so that's box 1 and 2, and then box 3 is going to be, track 100% of leads. Do you have a good system in place for tracking 100% of your leads, Stephen?
Yeah, I have a great CRM. It's a white label version of Go High Level.
Good. All right. And then do you have a good, when you're asking key questions, do you have a good sales presentation?
Yes. But let me caveat that my platform hosts the service providers. So my sales conversation ends with scheduling the discovery call. The service providers that I host on the platform take it from there. And then I just
And
keep in contact with the client to make sure that they're satisfied. And if we can help them with it in another way, I introduce them to another service provider.
gotcha. So if you make the handoff, if you go ahead and if you do that, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, out of 10 connections you make, how many actually buy?
Or
And that's not bad. The average in most industries is about 1 out of 10. So that's
yeah,
a pretty good high. I mean, it's not as high as 7 or 8, but it's still
sure.
4 is not bad. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, I'm doing a lot of the qualifying before I do the handoff. And so the the handoff is a warm handoff, and they're qualified customers. So it's just a matter of showing them the value at that point.
gotcha. And these are all business owners.
Business owners, CEOs, CFOs, yes.
And what do you do with the other 6 that don't buy?
Nurture.
You do that then?
Yeah, I keep them in my nurturing campaign. Uh, I may be able to hand them off or pass the referral to somebody who's not on my platform and still add value to the client, even though they're not, I'm just being a good neighbor at that point. I pass a lot of referrals to people who I don't get paid for, which is totally fine. I'm totally cool with that.
Right. Do those that you refer them, do those that you refer out to others that you don't get paid anything, do they refer business back to you then?
Sometimes,
Okay. Do they give you
yeah.
something of other value?
Um, maybe, but if I'm not looking for anything in return at that point.
Right. The key is they should be looking at giving you, maybe they don't give you a financial, maybe it's not financial if they do it, but there should be, you should have a system. You should have a system that will help you go ahead and make sure whatever value you're giving them, they're giving you equal value back.
Yeah, I may ask for referrals, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Um, have you looked at the business X-ray?
I had a follow-up call with someone on your team after the last copy connection, and we
Okay.
discussed it. And I did one of the profile analysis,
Gotcha. Yeah,
which
the
was
personality.
yeah, I did that.
So I would seriously look at doing the business X-ray. The business X-ray, I think for you, it served 2 purposes. One, it would help you in your business tremendously, like in understanding yourself and your business and all that. So I think it would be a value to you. But I think it might even be a bigger value where it could help convert, potentially the 6 out of 10, or it could open up other opportunities to refer other business or have other people refer business to you. It is, I've never seen anything like the business X-ray. So it looks at 3 dimensions in your business, 9 major areas, 7 systems. It looks at over 40 areas of your business and life, what you're doing right, little tweaks you could do to improve. Looks at the 4 phases of every business that a business must go through to get their business to run without them. And so a few years ago, I had the privilege of personally doing the review of a business X-ray. So we utilized the tool, and it's crazy. It's absolutely. So there's 4 different types of sales, individual sales. Are you familiar with those, Stephen, or not? So there's product or service sales, and so that's selling a product or service. So you have a product, I have money. we exchange money. It's all based on a commodity. It's a price thing, so there's no differentiation. That's one type of sale. Nothing wrong with it. That's one type. Another type of sale is relationship selling, where you're selling based on relationships. That has advantages and disadvantages from the product or service. The third level is going to be consultative selling. Consultative selling is where you're coming in from a consultation and you're doing as much consulting or more consulting than you are sales. And then the highest level of individual sales that I have found is going to be insight selling. And so an insight selling, have you ever heard of insight selling? It's crazy. So the rule is on insight selling, if you can get somebody to say, that's a great question 3 times or more, they'll buy anything from you. And it works. Like I was at a networking event once and I was talking to a guy and literally for 3 minutes. And he said after 3 minutes, and I was doing insight selling, which is not really selling, but it is. And he said, that's a great question 3 times or 4 times. And he said at the end of 3 minutes, he said, Mark, I don't know what your company is. I don't know what you're selling. It doesn't matter. I just want to buy it. Seriously. So insight selling, the psychology is people are out there looking for a solution. And so often, like here, you ask key questions. And then once you ask key questions, then you present a solution. Most salespeople think, or business owners think, they're presenting that in presenting a solution, that's where the sales occurs. But the sale actually occurs in asking of the question. So if you look at how you ask questions, you revamp that, tweak that, adjust that, modify that, you might get another 2 out of 10. You might get another 2 out of 10, which would increase your overall sales by 50%. So the business X-ray. So I did the review on the guy and I asked the guy, I said, hey, do you have any questions at the end? And he says, yeah. He said, Mark, I'm really ticked off. He said, I wish I'd have known you a year ago. I spent over $40,000 having some firm come in and analyze my business. He said, I learned more from the $285 business X-ray than I did from the 40,000. And I'm like, dang, I wish we'd have known you a year ago too, because we'd have saved you a lot of money. And so I think for you, I think it would have dual purposes. One is I think it'd be good for you personally in your own business, but I think it could be a tool that would help you in a whole bunch of different ways with different types of businesses and setting up referral partners as well. Any questions on that, Stephen? Sorry, you're on mute.
No, it sounds interesting.
Cool. Yeah. So Anita will get you over some information on that. Any other questions you have for us today, Stephen? Okay.
Anita, was it you and I that were on that follow-up call last time? I thought so.
Yep.
Cool. Anita, anything you would like to accomplish today?
So one thing that I'm struggling a little bit with is, so the way that we're set up is like a self-employed thing. My question is, how do you get yourself out of employee mode?
Ooh, that's a great
Like
question.
a good question, a good way to do that.
Yeah. So what's the difference between how an employee thinks and how a business owner thinks? It's radically different. I mean, it's totally different. And so an employee will think, well, I'm doing the best I can do. Where a business owner won't think that. A business owner is, if I'm doing the best I can do, and it's not good enough, I'll get better. Because the biggest fear for a business owner probably is that they'll have to go get a real job. Like they would rather die in the jungle than live in the zoo. That's just kind of how they're wired. They will work twice as many hours, make half as much money, and they're still happy. They're happier than the employees. And so that's how it is. So I think it's a great question, Anita. I think if you go ahead and, create a document, if you create a document, just a Google document, and say, this is how I think, this is how I'm thinking. So business owners will tend to go ahead and not give reasons or explanation. It's yes, no, it's this is what I need to do. Years ago, I realized I had a son-in-law and he had a real job and he was working, I don't know, 30 hours a week or something, and he was exhausted. And it was heavy physical labor. I mean, it was really that. I could work 60, 80 hours a week and I'm not exhausted. Why? Because I'm building something that's my own, that I'm built like I am in the jungle and and so you don't complain, you don't whine, you're not a victim. If you're not feeling good, you push through stuff. You know that you're going to be successful. It's just you don't know when or how or what you have to do to get there. I don't know. I think I worked on that once. You could ask me, you could shoot me an email, and because I think I've got a list. This is how an employee thinks, and this is how a business owner thinks. And their brains are very, very different. Very different. So if you're an employee and you go ahead and you find some way to go ahead and make your company 50% more productive, you figure out a bigger, better widget, better, more efficient way. You might get a pin, you might get a little bit of a raise, you might get something. As a business owner, if you can crack the code and figure out how to be more efficient, the amount of money you can make, the amount of work you can do less. Like you don't have to put in 40 or 50 or 30. You can, what you're doing is you're building something. So an employee will go ahead and look at the short term. So they'll look at just the moment. So if you look at the podcast and then you look at the mind models here, the employee will tend to go ahead and look at the short term in the moment. The business owner is seeing something in the future. An employee has to be motivated to do something. A business owner doesn't. A business owner will just do what needs to be done because it has to be done. The mental toughness of a business owner, like an employee just has to work hard enough to, that they're not the one that's laid off or fired. A business owner has to go ahead and produce enough for themselves and anybody else that they're supporting. So it's a great question. I love the question. Often employees on the want model, they want to make the income, they want the hours, they want the quality of life, as long as they don't have to work very hard or make sacrifices or risk. A business owner is going to go ahead and be at a level 4 or maybe a level 5. Like this is what they were called. This is what they were put on the planet to do. And so it's not really work for them. And so does that help, Nita?
Yeah, absolutely does.
Oh, this is a good one. Often an employee will feel entitled, self-righteous, and a victim. A business owner knows that if they feel any of those feelings, they're probably going to die. So what they are is they're thankful, they're humble, and they take personal ownership of not only all of their stuff, but everybody else's stuff. So excellent. Stephen or Anita, anything else either of you have? All right. And give those that, like Kunitha, give her a hard time. Like give those that say, hey, you missed a great podcast. We actually enjoyed not having you here, though, because it gave us more time to talk about the things we were talking about, and have them listen to this, because this is something like, it's crazy how many business owners think they're a business owner, but they actually think like an employee. A good example of this is CPAs that own their own firm. So if you ask a CPA that owns his own firm or her own firm, would you like to grow your business? And they'll often say, yeah, no. If a business owner, that's one last thing. if a business owner, if you ask them, would you like to grow your business? And they say, yeah, maybe not. They're thinking like an employee. Because an employee thinks, well, if I get more work, I'm going to have to work harder. A business owner, if I get more work, if I get more business, I can delegate, systematize, contract out, hire someone, or partner with someone. It's more business doesn't mean more work. It might be in the short term until I get the systems or people in place, but it doesn't mean it in the long term. So if you're listening to the rebroadcast of this, you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye. You always want to come early and you always want to stay late on the podcast because you never know. So we're just finished up, but I put it on pause, fortunately, rather than stopping it, because I had this sense Stephen's going to come up with something brilliant. And so sure enough, he did. What book was it that you were saying?
Yeah. So when it comes to the fear of growth, there's a great book called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it talks about
Unbelievable.
just what you were saying, that if you business owners who are thinking, I need to double my business, they're thinking double the work. But when you think in terms of 10X of your business, you realize mentally you have to make changes to your systems and you have to delegate more. You have to focus on what's important and get rid of everything else. And so 10X is easier than 2X because you're not going to have to double your workload at that point.
See, that's why you come early. That's why you stay late, because 10X, and Anita can get you out in this. This is a crazy video. Like, I don't know if you've seen this video. I've read the book. I've gone through the tape. This video is 5 minutes long. And it is, and 10X it's amazing. It's like, it's really, really cool. And so Anita will get you out and then in the podcast area sometime, I don't know, to the left or down or above, wherever you want to put it in the podcast, Anita, you and your team, go ahead and put it. And so you want the link for the business x-ray. You want to go ahead and have the link for this one here, 10X, because Stephen's absolutely right. It's unbelievable, for sure. And then I would also, do I want to, don't I want to? I think I will. So I've created a document on books and movies that I've watched that have been amazing and helpful. And then I did a 1-paragraph review on them. So Anita, you can get that and put that. So there'll be 3 links, I believe, that will go through on this podcast. Take a look at those things for sure. And then Stephen, if you want to, and then Anita, you can, like Stephen, if you want to post in the chat your contact information too, that would be helpful for people that might be interested in working with you on that. Any other brilliant ideas, Stephen, before we, I'll put it on pause again, but if you got one, that was good. You good? All right, good deal. All right, we're going to put it on pause. We might come back, might not. Anita might have something brilliant too here. Here we go.